Hey guys, Ryan here. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the Grau and why I think it's such a good gun to use in Season 3 of Warzone. And I'm going to be going over some of its competitors like the Kilo, M4A1, the Krig, and even some LMGs like the PKM and Stoner, as I think those are very viable long-range AR options slash substitutes. Now, with the M16 and all kind of falling out of the meta, I believe the old crop of long-range ARs, the Grau, Kilo, were the main two. But I also believe the M4 and Krig fall into that category. They now have a brand new place and room to shine in the current Warzone scene right now. There's a lot of variation also within the guns. In fact, I think the M4A1 is the best close range, long range gun. I don't know, that's kind of a misnomer, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Of all the quote unquote long range ARs, I believe the M4 is the best up close. I think the Kilo or Krig is kind of the best in the mid range, and I think that the Grau is the best long range option if you can handle the kick. Now, the main thing is that the M4A1 has a little bit more kick than the Grau and Kilo. And the Grau and Kilo, they don't have a lot of kick, but they also don't pack as much of a punch. The Kilo in the mid range feels dominant. I mean, really, really dominant if you hit your shots. But up close, same with the Grau, it feels pretty terrible. There's going to be a clip in about 30 seconds to 45 seconds. You're going to see where I'm gonna scuff up and mess up my reload with the AS Val, and I'm gonna make a bad play where I have to switch to the Grau up close, and it's gonna let me down. I'm gonna get him so close to dying, where if I was using the M4A1, he is guaranteed to be down in that situation. And that is the only issue with the Grau. Now, on the other hand, the same thing applies to the Kilo. The only one that really competes up close is gonna be the M4A1. Now, I do think that the Stoner packs a lot more punch than people realize, and I think that gun is being heavily slept on, especially with the Cavalry Lancer barrel. But for the sake of discussion, I'm going to keep this to the Krig, the M4, Kilo, and Grau right now. Okay, but this is the exact scenario I was talking about, where I believe that the Grau and Kilo will lose this gunfight 9 out of 10 times, but the M4 will win that one. And I'm not sure. I think the Krig loses it too, but I do think there's a slightly higher chance it could win it. But I just want to make the point that I believe that the Grau and Kilo up close are a little bit of a liability. But in the mid range and long range, they are so dominant and so good, and it is so easy to cover up their weaknesses with running an AS Val, one of the MP5s, a MAC 10, a Fennec, one of the ARs that people love to run close. You can run a 2 AR combo, although I wouldn't really recommend using too big of a mag on an AR with this gun because you're just going to chew through bullets. But the main thing is that this gun, I actually feel, after the nerfs to the Kilo, at the beginning of Season 1, I believe, right when they integrated Cold War, they nerfed the Kilo from Modern Warfare, and that is what really brought the Grau back. And there was a second thing. 2 game data and JGod figured out that there was no longer extra damage drop-offs being applied to Modern Warfare guns. So there was only 1 damage drop-off. And after this meant that the Grau was a lot better than people were giving it credit for, albeit not great still in a lot of circumstances. In fact, the main thing is that the M4A1 is really just a better gun in almost every regard, aside from recoil. If you were to look at the damage, long range, close range, and mid range, the M4 is better. And that's not the point of this video, but I do want to give you guys alternatives. And the thing is I could talk about the AMAX and other guns like it, but the issue is there's a lot of nerfs incoming. That's why the FARA and AK-47 and Ram 7 aren't part of this discussion, because A, they're also more mid-range to close range ARs, but also because there's a ton of nerfs coming, things are changing soon, and I think the AMAX was actually somewhat viable in the long range. It wasn't as viable in super long ranges, so of course the Grau and Kilo would have innate advantages over the AMAX and M4 there, but I think that in the mid-range, in the way that gunfights work innately in Warzone, that the AMAX was effective enough at the damage ranges where it was important, that it was a completely viable alternative to one of the big 3 long-range ARs I've mentioned. But it just hasn't felt like we've been able to experience what it's like with the Kilo, Grau, and M4, and Krig all being meta, because I just don't think that There's been that space in the meta in the past 3-4 months. For the longest time, it was just the M16 AUGs and DMRs at long range. And now, you guys, I'm telling you, you are no longer have to be afraid of 3-4 squads at long range. You still do, of course, because you're playing Warzone. But I am saying the AUG M16 and DMR, while they were powerful in one person's hands, they were even more powerful in a squad's hands. It was absolutely oppressive to try and run anywhere or peek anything with 2 or 3 AUGs just beaming down on you. I can't stress enough how that I actually believe was one of the main reasons why those guns felt so oppressive, was because that if they were in the hands of 3-4 people and you were trying to fight them at long ranges, you really didn't have too much that could be done. You would peek once and your shields would go from 3 to 1 plate, from 2 bursts from 2 different people, maybe 3 people, and suddenly you have to just reposition, try and reset the fight, and it made it very hard to just even run around and rotate even. And I think with this new meta, the higher time to kill guns like the Kilo and Grau are back in the long range. I think the Krig fits up there, guys. I really do. I have a gameplay and I'm going to make a video on it, but it's a little different, and that's kind of like a personal field thing. The thing is that if you want to compare raw stats with the Grau and Kilo, there's going to be a lot of reasons to not use these guns. But if you use them in game, you're going to feel a lot of reasons to use these guns. And I guess that's the main point. It's just about if you can hit your shots, and that's easy to do with these guns. And the fact that you can hit consistent long-range damage with these guns means you can just be taking plates from people, you can be putting down cover fire, and you can get these long-range kills. Right now, with the long-range time to kill, these guns fit it perfectly. This is the time for these guns. They are back, ladies and gentlemen. I definitively believe that the long-range ARs are back. And I do believe SMGs are too, but that's for next video. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, you don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe, but if you do, I'm so appreciative. I appreciate anyone who made it this far. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Peace.